Welcome once again to the City of Maple Grove Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us, along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
We have a very short meeting to talk about. In fact, this program may be longer than the council meeting itself, but that's all right. And we've got a lot to talk about of events coming up in the city and some new information as well about some things that are going on in the city. So stick with us for that. Let's get to the meeting, which was held on the Tuesday, September 2nd. One item pulled from consent, and that has to do with the Maple Grove Lions Club, and they have a big event coming up.
Yeah, so Rockin' the Grove is set for September 13th over at Central Park with the headliner Hairball coming back with a flashback to the 80s. Rhino and Rolling Stoners are the two opening acts. Event info and tickets are available at maplegrovelions.org, and they will be doing pull tabs that evening out at Central Park as well, so that's what was on the agenda that evening. Right. One more item I do want to recognize from the consent agenda is the retirement of a long-serving city employee. Doug Semler is retiring from as a mechanic for the city for 37 years, I believe, which is kind of crazy.
Yes.
So all the best to Doug in his retirement. He'll be leaving us here at the end of September, so we're out recruiting for a mechanic supervisor to backfill that position. So congrats to Doug and appreciative of his long service to the city.
Yes, best wishes to him. Now let's go further on the agenda to some public hearings. There were 3 that evening. The first related to a restaurant with sushi coming to town.
Yeah, so this is up at the Grove, Appa Sushi. This is a business that they have 3 other locations here in the metro area. Okay. So we're excited to have them joining the Maple Grove restaurant community. They're planning an October 15th opening, and so this was for an on-sale wine and 3-2 malt liquor license.
Next 2 public hearings, similar items, so we'll group them together related to developments coming up in the city and some easement work that had to be done.
Yeah, so this was just vacating some existing easements, and then they'll get rededicated with the plat. So this is Elm Creek Acres and Hennessy Grove, kind of both developments out on the west side of town.
All right, Public Works Engineering working around that. Now let's go to Community and Economic Development, and they are continuing to talk about the Gardner School, Maple Grove, and this came back to the council. Give us a recap of what happened and then what the new news is.
Yeah, so this was on the agenda at our second meeting in August. Ended in a 4-1 vote on this one, so came back on the regular agenda for approval of the resolution. Okay. Also gave an opportunity for the Gardner School to get some representatives there to respond to some of the questions of the council. And so then that one got approved, and we'll move forward. This is up in the Tri-Care area, just kind of west of Menards up there, north of BioLife in that new area that's growing up there off of Gardner Street.
All right, if you're a Planning Commission fan, you're going to have to wait another month because the meeting upcoming has been canceled. That was for September 8th. And also news in that area about the tree sale is coming up. They wanted to pass along. There's information on the city's website. Tell us more about that sale.
Yeah, so this is our fall tree sale, our annual tree sale. It is live on the city website. Orders need to be placed by October 2nd, and then they will be available for pickup by mid-October.
All right, we've got some roads to talk about in engineering and public works. Final design 169 in Elm Creek Boulevard, and you're smiling already about this. This is good news. Tell us where we are and where we're going.
Yeah, we're making really good progress on putting together all the funding for this project, as well as getting through the MnDOT review process. So our plan at this time is about a year from now to start construction. It would include kind of a drop the bridge and work over the winter time on the bridge, and then hopefully an early midsummer reopening out there with the new interchange at 169 Elm Creek Boulevard. We're needing about another $3 to $4 million in funding to shore it up, just a little bit over a $20 million project. We have about 17.5 assembled so far, and so we're working with all of the partners and Hennepin County applying for other funding programs that are out there to get this one done. So moving forward towards construction about a year from now.
And very important because of the existing business users and all the traffic in that area, but also future use. Is that right?
Yeah, so this has become a really key interchange for us to see improved, and of course became even more important when open. We had that bridge strike about a year ago now, and it's been operating with a lane restriction and a weight restriction, which is pretty impactful to the gravel mining businesses that operate there. So, and then, serving the new businesses that are building out in the gravel mining area, BAE Systems, the Boston Scientific Campus, all of the businesses there in the Arbor Lakes Business Park. And so very critical for us at this time to get this new interchange plugged in there and improved. So important piece of infrastructure for that area.
All right. Couple final items from the meeting on the 2nd and administrative items. You were talking about the community center, and if you go to the community center, be careful because things are changing with the access. What's going on and how are we moving ahead in that project?
Yeah, so we're transitioning some of the parking, and I will say there's going to be a little bit of a blip on Monday, September 8th, where access will return back to Weaver Lake Road. That Grove Drive access will be closed. We're having to work on a water pipe in that area. We're taking advantage of this reconstruction or this renovation expansion to address all the infrastructure coming in and out of the building. But for today, as it sits today, and then for the foreseeable future, but for Monday, September 8th, that access is all off of Grove Drive and Weaver Lake Road is blocked.
Got it.
Parking in the southwest lot is now open and available, and there's kind of a pedestrian path that's jersey barriered off to get you to the building.
Okay.
And then there's also parking, of course, right in front of the building. It's a little bit limited. They're doing construction right in front of the arenas right now. So probably best to park in that southwest farther lot and walk in if you can make that happen. So just pay attention when you're driving in there. So access kind of off behind Cub there on Grove Drive, and then we'll have that one day where we have to close that to do the water work. That'll be back to Weaver, but then we're going to be back to Grove through most of the fall. All
right, watch the signs, maybe plan a little extra time if you're heading that way. One final note from the meeting, the mayor wanted to mention the fire department one more time. We've been following their big anniversary all year long. Yeah, so it's a big weekend for the fire department. Saturday night they're going to be celebrating their 50th anniversary with a big gala at the Northwest Marriott there, so we're looking forward to that event. Very great recognition for the fire department. And then on Sunday they have their annual golf event out at Pheasant Acres. So it's going to be a busy weekend for the fire department. They'll all be very well celebrated come Sunday evening and probably exhausted. So look forward to this weekend of celebration. Well-deserved recognition. All right, that's it for the meeting on the 2nd. Next meeting's coming up on the 15th. We'll remind you of that in just a couple minutes. But now, Heidi, let's head to some other notes around the city. And first, we want to talk about the State Fair. And in a very good way, Maple Grove played a role in getting people there. Yeah, so our bus service is always very popular, and we had great response on those weekends, taking 5,000-7,000 people downtown most days, or down to the State Fair, I should say. Yeah. So we're very pleased with that. We are looking at ways. We know there's a lot of demand for bus service to the State Fair, and there's not a lot of those opportunities up in the Northwest Metro. So we are looking at ways to try to expand that in the future. But for now, the service is really well used on the weekends and Labor Day. Let's talk about Hemlock Lane. People are very excited because a lot of paving is now done and the road looks pretty good. Yeah, so Hemlock Lane, Hennepin County completed their paving between Bass Lake Road and 73rd Avenue, which is just south of 494, 694 there. Right. So crews will install permanent striping in the next week, but it looks nice out there with some fresh pavement. If you've been around Rice Lake, you've seen some activity and may have seen a different color in the lake. What is going on? What has been found there, and what are the next steps? Yeah, so a blue-green algae bloom was reported on Rice Lake. It's actually a type of bacteria that exists in the water that can be harmful or is harmful to humans and particularly dogs, so you want to be really careful there. The bloom was first spotted by a passerby and quickly reported. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, Rice Lake Association, and the city are working together to alert the public about the symptoms of exposure. So ongoing city efforts to reduce phosphorus entering our lakes play an important role in limiting the frequency of these harmful blooms. So if you're out on Rice Lake or in and around Rice Lake on the trails, just make sure you're paying attention, particularly if you have pets or something that might go towards the water. Just something to really be careful with right now. Good notes to remember. All right, back to the fire department. They were big at the State Fair as well. The Explorers, and then the chief had some activity going on. What was up? Yeah, so it was the Governor's Fire Prevention Day, and our Chief Sickmund has been involved with this event at the State Fair for many years.
Governor's Council on Fire Prevention and Control was kind of celebrated that day. During the opening ceremony, Governor Walz presented Chief Sickman with a State of Minnesota proclamation recognizing the Governor's Fire Prevention Day. It was deemed the world's largest fire prevention event, so great day. And our explorers were out there to be involved in the statewide competition, and then we had staff out there with professional demonstrations and helping with setup and whatnot. So a big day out at the State Fair on Friday, the first Friday of the fair there, celebrated that day for over 27 years with the governor's office.
Yeah, great fun out there. All right, we talked a little bit about the community center, what's happening outside. Let's go inside now because there's a few big things happening there as well.
Yeah, so pool maintenance is, pools are closed right now for pool maintenance, so kind of helping us with this parking and traffic situation for a little bit until we get things settled down a little bit. So the pool is closed right now until September 22nd for its annual maintenance, and then of course our gym is closed for some annual maintenance as well. So activities kind of at a lull right there now, so hopefully people can find their way in and out over the next few weeks, and then we'll try to get those roads a little bit more opened up and more parking opened up as we move into the fall.
Sounds good. Trails very important in the city of Maple Grove to residents, and there's some talk about a trail getting some work done over a 5-year period of time, and you need some input from the community. Yeah,
so Rice Lake Trail is kind of one of our jewels of the city, the trail that goes all the way around Rice Lake. It is in need of improvement. It has been in need for some time, but it's really a pretty significant project, not only in terms of impact of the reconstruction of that trail, but also cost. And so we're kind of splitting it into a couple different segments to try to bite off pieces that we might be able to get done. We're pursuing some grant dollars for some of these segments. So we do have 2 public community engagement events coming up. We have a pop-up event on the trail September 24th from 4 to 6 p.m. This is going to be held at Freedom Field at 8585 Rice Lake Road. So that's kind of getting out in the community and getting some feedback there from folks. And then we also have a public open house on October 7th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Pheno Pavilion. So if you live in and around this trail or you are a trail user, Rice Lake, heavily used trail corridor, we encourage you to come out and provide some input there about what's important and kind of see how we're approaching this in the different segments that we will be hopefully reconstructing first. A project web page has been established on our website. If you just go to the website and search for Rice Lake Trail, it'll come up. We encourage visits to the site for online engagement opportunities there as well.
We mentioned events coming up in the city. Get your calendars out. Here's the first one to talk about, Oktoberfest. This has a couple groups teaming up for this. Tell us some more details about that.
Yeah, so Maple Grove Parks and Rec and Omni Brewing are teaming up again this year for a fall festival. Highlights of the event include live music, food trucks and vendors, beverages, fun activities, yard games, fire pits. This is on Saturday, September 27th from noon to 6, again at Central Park.
All right, get out and get involved. Here's an issue that's being talked about in the city of Maple Grove, but also in other cities, e-bike safety. So give us a little recap of what's been happening, some of the talk at the city, and what's important for residents to know.
Yeah, this has just become a big issue, and we're not really alone in this. I think every city is struggling with how you regulate and control the use of e-bikes. I think we see a lot of situations where really young people are driving these e-bikes at very high speeds on trails, sidewalks, even on streets in the lanes of traffic. And so I think it's really important for parents to understand what the proper use of that bike is, what are the regulations around the use of those bikes. There's stories about pedestrians on trails or sidewalks getting hit by an e-bike at a very high speed, and very dangerous situations where people are really gravely injured. So I think we're trying to call attention to this and asking parents to really tune in to maybe what their young 12, 13-year-old folks are doing out there on the sidewalks, trails, and streets. And then, really clarifying what is legal to be driven on a trail or a sidewalk, and what's really more of a street regulated type vehicle. And then of course you have to have a driver's license and those types of things. And there's always speed regulations associated with the use of these types of bikes and whatnot. So we're going to be doing extra patrol out there to try to intervene in areas where we've seen a lot of that type of activity and try to, talk with folks and do some education.
Right.
It's really their safety at stake, not only their own safety. Oftentimes see folks, out there, no helmet, on a bike going 40 miles an hour. That's can be a problem. So, and then for any pedestrian that they might encounter. So, just ask parents and the community to pay attention. If you see areas where we have a lot of use of those types of bikes, give us a call. We'll get patrol set out there just to do kind of heightened patrol in the area. But yeah, we're not alone in this issue.
Right.
It's really just become a challenge in a lot of the suburbs. And the safety of these types of vehicles on the trails, sidewalks, and streets.
Printed information being put together, as well as information has been added to the website, and look for a big campaign next spring as well as people start to get outside once again. So be looking for information about that. One final note to pass along. This is always a great thing for the fall season. Cleanup time in the city of Maple Grove. You have a couple events.
Yeah, so our cleanup events are coming up Monday, September 29th. This is a curbside pickup from residents' homes, and then Saturday, October 4th, is the drop-off day up at Public Works. Of course, the curbside pickup, you need to register ahead of time. Sometimes there's a fee associated with those things, so you'll want to check out the city website for what types of things are accepted, and then is there a fee associated with it, whether you drop it off or have it picked up. But good opportunity to clean up before the winter sets in.
That's right. Let's all get involved with that. Heidi, thanks so much again for your time today. The recap of what went on at the last meeting. Let's leave you with the next meeting date and also that city website, which we mentioned many times. Next meeting, Monday, September 15th, 7:30 at the Government Center. maplegrovemn.gov, the website. Find out all that information we touched on today right there. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the City of Maple Grove Report.